Welcome to the Superheroes Everyday Podcast. I'm Danny Horn. Thank you for joining us. On this podcast, we talk about pivotal moments in superhero movie history. Today, we are discussing the other franchise about Teenage Mutants, 2003's X2 X-Men United. Now, I know you've got a short attention span. We all do. It's how we live now. So I'm using the Sid Field 3-act structure to break up the episode. This is Act 1 of X2 X-Men United, and then I'll be releasing Act 2 and Act 3 later on in the week. All right, now I want to introduce my guest. Joining me today from the retro video games podcast Retronauts, it's Stuart Gipp. Stuart, hello.
Hello, how are you? I'm here. We're not talking about retro games, so I'm absolutely out of my element, but I'm here.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Retronauts, it's a great podcast. It's not just you, it's like a whole team of people.
Yeah, there's some other people involved but
yours, obviously.
I wouldn't. You don't want to say that because it's a bit arrogant. But if you're going to listen to one of the hosts, then I would strongly advise it to be me.
Yeah.
I mean, the other hosts are fine, but the spark's just not there.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's all I've been listening to. How long have you been doing Retronauts?
God, I don't even remember. I've been doing stuff like in terms of writing for about 4 or 5 years, but I've been guesting on the podcast a little while, and then relatively recently I was asked if I wanted to sort of host episodes as well.
Nice.
And I was like, "Are you sure?" Because that means there will be a Zool episode that's going to be happening. And Jeremy Parrish was like, "I've come to terms with the things that you will do."
Yeah.
And so since then it's been a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've got to sort of indulge myself and do like the Sonic 3 and Knuckles for absolutely ages and ages and ages and ages.
Yeah, you've been doing several like very deep dives into that game.
Yeah.
I really liked the Popeye episode that you did a little while ago.
With Dave Bilmy. Yeah, it was fun.
I'm a fan of Popeye, but I never played those games, so it was really fun to have you like going through the game in amazing detail and being like funny, and then also teaching me about those games. Well, I'm really delighted that you're here with me today.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here.
Backstory for the movie. First X-Men movie was made in 2000. It made $157 million, and it got people to believe that superhero movies were worthwhile again. So inevitable that they would do a sequel 3 years later. As with all X-Men films, the production story is mostly about which characters to include and which ones were too expensive. In this case, the surprise was Nightcrawler made it into the movie because he was very much too expensive for the first film. But the first film's such a hit, they got to splurge on a big, exciting Nightcrawler sequence. This time they did cut Beast and they cut Angel, as well as the Sentinels and the Danger Room. A production crew had already constructed the Danger Room set when they decided to cut it. Films inspired by the 1982 graphic novel God Loves, Man Kills, in which
very, very loosely inspired.
Got like the Reverend William Stryker leading an anti-mutant hate group, and they have to team up with Magneto to save Professor Xavier. And that little synopsis is basically all that they took.
Yeah, it's really not like that at all. It's almost like there's just the guy Stryker, and that's almost it. Like,
yes,
and
exactly.
Nightcrawler is there also, and even his presence is nothing like the book at all. Though I don't mean that in a sort of like they botched it kind of way.
That's how you do it. You take inspiration.
I wanted to know, you said the first movie made $157 million. Like nowadays, if it didn't make that much in a weekend, it would like be written off. That's a pathetic amount of money compared to modern like takings for stuff like MCU.
It was very exciting for them.
Yeah,
that was I'll do the numbers a little bit. Like that was number 8 for the year in 2000, the original film. And then 3 years later, this X2 made $215 million domestic box office, and that got to number 6 for the year.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Deserved. It's a good movie.
Yeah. It did real well with the critics. It got 85% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is a few points improvement on X-Men. So yeah, people really liked it.
It's a big step up. It's a big step up for X-Men, and I like X-Men as well. I think it's funny. But this is just like, it's also kind of interesting how much of the movie takes place essentially in one location, which it's not exactly a globe-trotting adventure. It's pretty much just
the whole Act 3 they go underground. Yeah,
because I remember when I was watching it again the other day, I was thinking, oh, they're at Alkali Lake. The movie's nearly over, and it's like, oh no, it's not. They're going to be here for a long, long, long time.
Yeah,
like the movie kind of ends, and then it just keeps going for like 20 more minutes. And,
yes.
That's not, it feels a little bit, but like pulled out of its arse a little bit. The whole
Hmm.
kind of like the whole sacrifice at the end is kind of arbitrary. Sorry, I spoiled the
Yeah.
movie for the listeners. Sorry, listeners, for spoiling X2, X-Men United, as you call it. In the UK, it's just called X-Men 2 because we're sensible.
Oh,
Because
is
if
that
it was
right?
called X-Men United, everyone would think it was a football team or something. They can't be having that.
Well, let's get into Act One.
Yeah.
Film opens as always with Charles Xavier just whining about evolution and how
Mm.
mean people are to mutants.
He's obsessed with it. He's obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Move on, man. Move on, man.
And his complaint is are mutants the next link in the evolutionary chain or simply a new species of humanity fighting for
Mm.
their share of the world? Either way, it is a historical fact.
And
Sharing the
historical
world,
fact.
it is an historical fact.
He very
Uh,
he very prominently says it is an historical fact. I'm like, what, mate? What?
I was trying to blow past that because
No,
I didn't think I could pull it off.
it
But
can't be
yes,
blown.
you're
We
right.
can't
Yeah.
blow past an historical fact. It's a very classic moment in cinema.
Yes. Either way, it is an historical fact. Sharing the world has never been humanity's defining attribute. So
He's
apparently,
right.
we are not sharing things enough for Captain
Yeah,
Picard.
yeah. He's right. He's a very wise bald man.
He really is.
Mm.
And maybe we should be sharing more.
Yeah, maybe we should. But I mean, the way I see it, the X-Men, obviously the X-Men is like kind of an allegory for like, and this is not supposed to be a revelation. It's just an allegory for any kind of
Yeah.
many things, gay rights, etc., etc., etc.
Mm.
But the thing is, the difference is that the X-Men have got like spikes for hands and like laser eyes, and it's like they could kill you by like breathing on you.
Yes.
So, as far as I'm concerned, and I mean no disrespect, just keep them away from me. Like I got no problem with X-Men, but if you're a human being of some sort and your breath will cause me to die instantly,
Right.
I'm actually fine with you being kept away. Like that's okay.
And they're super reckless too.
Yeah, they
They
are.
don't care.
Yeah.
They will basically go and do whatever they feel like doing. We're going to see that.
I get it. Like I'm not racist against the X-Men, but like
Hmm.
kind of a bit racist against the X-Men. Like maybe.
I mean,
Uh,
there's a big problem is that they're comic book characters, and so therefore all of their powers are fighting powers.
yeah,
We don't usually get like
yeah,
librarian mutant, like a mutant who's really good at like helping people cross the street.
yeah. That would be cool. They could call themselves Lollipop Lady, and I mean, you do get that neat little scene in X2 where Iceman chills
Hmm.
where Wolverine's beer for him. I always,
Yes.
oh, it's soda. Sorry, it's not a beer, is it? It's like a
Yeah.
Coke or something.
Mm.
I always liked that little scene because whenever I see that, I always think to myself, God, I wish I had that power. Of all the
Right.
powers, I
That would
wish I
be
was
amazing. Yeah.
Iceman. I would never build like a shitty ice bridge and go surfing on it or like he does, but I would just chill people's drinks and everyone would love me.
Well, the movie starts with a tour of the White House, and we see the President of the United States in the Oval Office, and then one of the extremely suspiciously dressed tour group. He breaks away. He starts bamfing around. He's got like a long
Mm.
coat and a hat and sunglasses, and also he has a big blue devil's tail.
Yeah, that's a big giveaway, isn't it?
Yeah, there's opera music. He's starting to mess around and jump all over the place. What do you think of Nightcrawler here?
It's great. Like I really love this. I think they nailed Bamf sound effect as
Yeah.
well. It's perfect. It's cute. It's quite funny. The scene where he's teleporting around and that one guy's just like multiple suspects is really
Yes.
like is really
Yeah.
funny.
It's so much fun to just look at him like this crazy cartoon animal that just
Yeah.
gets like more and more blue. And it's hard to say whether he has a plan or if he's just kind of goofing around. But the president gets all spooked and they're trying to get the president to a secure location, but nothing is secure here.
No,
Not with a teleporting momentum demon popping all over the place. Everybody's shooting guns. Guns are no match for acrobatics and proof powers. So like
it's true.
you can see right away they decided to spend some money on this
Yeah.
and just give Nightcrawler this big computery opening with CGI smoke all over the place, which I think looks great every time
Hmm.
he disappears. He ends up on top of the president, and it looks like he's going to kill the president with a big knife,
Hmm.
but somebody shoots him in the back like a coward, and he disappears.
Yeah, he gets sort of grazed, doesn't he? It's like across the top left shoulder or something, and then he's like, "Oh wait, what am I doing? My one weakness, bullets."
And we see that his knife has a message on it which says mutant freedom now.
Mm,
This doesn't totally connect to that much in the movie. Like they
no.
try later on to kind of explain why Nightcrawler's here, but that is vague at best.
It's a very like they just wanted to do the cool Oval
Hmm.
Office scene, and then they thought, okay, how can we make this actually make sense?
Yeah.
Because the extent to which it's being controlled is very it's not actually that clear even within the rest of the movie, but I assume it's Jason who's doing it. It's Stryker's like,
They use he's got the little neck port where
oh
Stryker puts his
yes,
little hypnotic neck juice in. And
yeah, never,
so
not really explained at
yeah,
all.
no. And
Yeah,
then definitely like he does this one thing and then he just kind of gets away, runs away, and Stryker does not notice. There are a lot of plot threads in this
yeah,
movie
there
that
are,
we're gonna
yeah,
see where like there's so much in the movie. They don't have time to
we're
do
gonna pull on those
to
threads and
follow
we're gonna
all of
see
these
what
plot
happens.
threads. Yeah, so that's one of
Yeah,
them right
yeah,
there. We show up at Alkali Lake in probably Alberta somewhere, big industrial complex covered in
yeah.
snow and ice. It looks abandoned. Apparently, Arendelle is just closed today.
Mm.
And Wolverine's wandering through the woods, smoking a cigar, looking for clues to his past. It's very pretty. His hair looks really big and silly.
So this, looking for clues, just wandering through the forest with some binoculars, like, oh, I wonder if I'll find a clue to my past this way.
Yeah.
Nope, just more trees. Oh boy.
And it's a little embarrassing for him that it turns out there is a complex here. Like there's at least a couple dozen people below the ground,
Mm.
and they must get food supply at some point. Like people must be going in and out. And
Yeah,
Wolverine,
there's like a taco truck parked up somewhere, and he just completely missed it.
yeah. But it kind of like it's a big deal that he can smell, like he tracks things by smell. But he's walking around
Yeah.
and he's smoking a cigar. So
Hmm. That's got to be clouding his judgment, not to
you would think
mention
so.
giving him lung cancer, you know. Do you think he would just heal it, like if he got lung cancer?
Oh yeah, no, I think he's probably healing it
Uh,
all the time. Yeah, that's kind of a constant thing happening in his
that's kind of
lungs.
badass, to be honest. Yeah,
It
that's
is,
kind of
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Next, we're gonna go to a natural history museum, and
Oh,
there's
nice.
Halle
Oh,
Berry. There's
sorry.
there's
You mean in the
Storm.
movie? Okay. All right.
What's that?
That's
Oh yeah,
okay.
no, you and me, no,
No.
no,
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
but Storm's there,
Oh,
and
good.
she is lecturing a bunch of kids about evolution as if they
Mm.
ever talk about anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all the school is. It's just like the same speech about evolution over and over
Right?
again. Yeah. Even when you're playing basketball or something, you're playing basketball and Charles rolls in and everyone's like, "Oh, for God's sake! Like
He's gonna explain.
evolution is a shut up. We know, Charles."
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah.
And that's why Scott and Jean are kind of just hanging out. They're not really paying attention to any of this evolution stuff.
No. No. Scott, I'm a big Cyclops fan. I love Cyclops. I'm the guy who likes Cyclops. Okay,
Yeah,
but I think that the X-Men Fox movies do him some real dirt. Like he's only in the first one remotely acceptably amount of time, I think.
yeah,
And in the second one, he's like gone for the entire
for
second
most of
act,
it.
pretty
Yeah,
much, and most
yeah,
of the third act. And then in the third movie, we all know what happens to him in the third movie, and it
right.
sucks. And I really hope that when the X-Men turn up in the MCU, they actually have a decent Cyclops in it.
Well, Jean is upset. She says that she feels like something terrible is about to happen, and she is correct. Something terrible is about to happen. It is the food court scene, which I
Oh
have some
yeah,
problems
Jesus.
with. Yeah, museum
Yeah.
food court. It's like a teen hangout area, and we see Bobby and Rogue and John. So Bobby's Iceman, John is
Mm,
Pyro, and Rogue is just Rogue. Basically, being obnoxious mall kids.
yeah.
There's these two mean teens who are asking Pyro if he can have a light, and Pyro's just being a dick and showing off the fact that he has a lighter and kind
Hmm.
of giggling about it. There's a lot of weird eye play going on. The guy steals Pyro's lighter and lights his cigarette, and Pyro considers that an act of war.
Hmm. Hmm.
Makes his sleeve catch on fire. Guy falls down. Pyro is just delighted. I'm in love with Pyro in this movie.
Mm.
He's my favorite. And Bobby shoots some ice to put the fire out, and then another one of those ridiculously reckless schemes they come up with. Everybody freezes in place.
Mm.
The museum comes to a complete stop, and the three X teens are looking around. They're all confused. This goes on for a very long time. And
Yeah.
then Professor Xavier is just there.
Yeah.
He has done this incredibly stupid thing of making everybody freeze in place. And then he just kind of
He's in the food court. He'd just gone and had
yeah.
some tater tots or something, and now he's here. And he's like, I have finished my tater tots.
And I am annoyed by you and what you are
This
doing.
is the
Yeah.
best way I can think of for solving this situation.
Yes. He says the next time you feel like showing off, don't.
Mm.
this is not how you
After
teach
doing
them
that,
that.
after
Yeah,
freezing everyone in the yeah.
yeah, you're going to make hundreds of people lose time.
Hmm.
And people in the food court are going to notice that you all disappeared. So I don't know what he thinks he's teaching them at all.
It's a truly inept way of resolving the situation when the correct way to do it would be simply to kill the children and hide their bodies, you know?
Yeah. And then we are in the Oval Office with the president and the beginning of the vaguely baffling plot. There's William Stryker, who it is hard to know exactly who he is, besides Logan Roy from Succession. He wants authorization from the president for like a special operation. And the president's response is, I thought you were here to talk about school reform, which,
What?
given what we find out about him,
Yeah.
it's they introduce him in a very strange way.
I think
Um,
that's quite funny that he's like, yeah, I need to talk to the president about school reform. Okay, right, now that I'm here, I'm going to kill the mutants. And the president's
right.
like, hold on a second. You got in here on the basis that you wanted to talk about something else, and now you are pushing this issue. Like, you know what? I'm going to allow this time. I'm fine
Yes.
with it. I'm actually fine with it. The fact that you talk to me like in the most ridiculously melodramatic terms ever, like you've just walked out of like a Shakespearean
Yeah.
tragedy or something. Everything William Stryker says in this movie is just like unbelievably bizarre,
Yes.
and that's why he's great.
Yeah, he's always like antagonistic towards everybody that he talks to. He's in a bad mood quite a
He's
bit.
all yeah. He's even in situations where it would be incredibly self-preservationist not to be a dick.
Yeah.
He still has to be a dick. It's like in his blood. If he was like, I don't know, hanging by his fingers on the edge of a cliff, like, and someone walked up and they were like, "Oh my God, do you want me to pull you up?"
Yeah.
He would just say something. He would be like, God, I don't even know. He'd be like, just, did the universe pull you up? And he'd be like, what the fuck are you
I think
talking
he
about,
would
William
actually
Stryker?
he would attack you directly. That is the
Yeah,
thing that he
yeah.
does in Act 3 when his life is very much in danger. He does not stop insulting people. So definitely whatever he had on the person, on you, if you're there at the cliff top, yeah, he would definitely be talking himself out of a rescue. And that's what he does here. Senator Kelly from the first movie just kind of like strolls in, as people so often do in the Oval Office. The president introduces Stryker and says his department has been dealing with the mutant phenomenon since before my time. And it's the thing I don't understand is like, what department is that
Mm.
that you were a part of? I would be interested to know. And here's Senator Kelly. As we know from the first movie, this is Mystique. This is a shape-shifting mutant who
Yeah,
took over Kelly's life at the end of the film.
yeah,
He was primary sponsor, advocate for the Mutant Registration Act, which the mutants are all unhappy with. And Kelly died. This is kind of another strange, reckless thing. Kelly died in the first movie, and
yeah.
Mystique
He
took his place
melted.
at the end. Yeah, Mystique took his place, and we see at the end of the movie that fake Kelly is on the news talking smack about the Mutant Registration Act and saying that
Mm.
he's changed his mind. I have a question about this. How
Yes.
has Mystique been keeping this up, this impersonation? Because
Um,
presumably he's got a family and friends and a staff. How long has she just been living Kelly's life?
I don't know. Maybe he just wasn't that interesting of a guy. You know, maybe he was just a pretty plain guy. All
And
you need to
nobody.
do is walk in and say, "Good morning, staff. It is me, Senator Kelly. I didn't turn into water and die. I'm
Right.
alive, as you can see.
I am not a creepy pale slug.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
like a cup of coffee." Now, on a completely unrelated note, Rebecca Romaine, isn't she gorgeous? What a beautiful and talented actress. Very intelligent. And everyone's like, why are you talking about Rebecca Romaine? Like, what has that got to do with anything, Senator Kelly? And she's like, no reason. I just thought I'd mention it. I just think she's really talented. That's all. And now I'm going into my office to play Chip's challenge, and every time anyone comes over, I'm going to tab out to some work, and no one will know no one will be any the wiser. Because I am a senator and I don't do any real work. It's a bit of satire for you folks, just if you're keeping up, yeah.
And then Lady Deathstrike, meanwhile, just outside the Oval Office, like sitting there in the anteroom, is Eureka, Lady Deathstrike, who
Mm.
is a mutant supervillain who somehow is working for the Striker, for like the most anti-mutant person that there is. I find her utterly baffling.
Yeah, Lady Deathstrike is not a character I'm actually that familiar with at all, and I just know her from this movie really.
Yeah.
And I just know her as like the lady with the claws who turns up.
And who cracks her knuckles a lot. This
Yes.
is a very it's a strange moment. Like she's sitting there, like just cracking all of her knuckles, which apparently she has a lot. It's a very long
Lot extra
process.
knuckles, lots and lots of
Yeah,
knuckles.
she has kind
Yeah.
of like infinite number. So I have questions about
Mm,
this. Like, A, why would Stryker employ a mutant in the first place?
yeah.
B, why does he need to be followed around by this mutant killing machine?
Mm.
And C, why would he choose someone who is so visibly weird that obviously people are going to ask questions about who she is?
I don't know. Maybe it's just a power. Maybe it's just a power thing. Maybe he's just kind
It's
of
like a
swinging
flex.
dick. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stryker's upset because there's a mutant training facility in upstate New York. Kelly says that this facility they're talking about is a school. Stryker says, no, it's got a jet coming out of the basketball court. And the president just tells Stryker, okay, go ahead, like just enter
So
and
silly.
detain
Yeah.
everyone there, question them, but we don't need the body of a mutant kid on the
Yeah.
news. And Stryker absolutely wants that.
Yeah.
He is so excited about hurting children. He just can't wait to get there.
Yeah. They're like, but what do we don't want the body of a mutant kid? And he's like, gotcha, body of a mutant kid. Let's go.
Right? Yeah, that's all I heard.
Wait a
Yeah,
second. And he does get the body of a mutant kid, doesn't he?
he
Because
does. He gets like six
he
of them.
slots.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's a dick.
I guess the thing that he's really taking seriously in that sentence is just on the news. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah,
fine. He's not on the news. He's buried in my weird secret lab. There's an interesting question here, which I would be interested in that the movie gestures at, but doesn't really engage with, which is how the politics around mutants are actually playing out in the United
yeah,
States. Like, who's against them and who's in favor of them? Because it feels like we either get the Mutant Registration Act, which they consider basically imprisoning them, or we're just do nothing at all. And there's one thing we do see, like one example later in the film. We see Bobby coming out to his parents and basically getting rejected.
yeah.
I think it would be interesting if we saw, in addition to that, like an out mutant somewhere. Like, are there other ones? There are a lot of them. Is there one that's like actually out to their family and friends, and they actually are accepted and they're just part of the world?
I don't know. I mean, it feels like rejecting someone for being able to chill your drink is kind of
Yeah,
crazy to
exactly.
me. Like,
Yeah,
I want them to be my friend at all costs. I want to be with them constantly.
I would love to see something like that where like people are actually happy and excited.
Yeah,
Just to dramatize like that this civil rights story that they're doing. We don't really see a reason why a human being would actually want to agree and like advocate for their rights.
yeah.
So that feels missing to me.
I guess it's the distinction between like I can chill your drink for you, that's my mutant power,
Right.
and the people who are like I vomit enormous amounts of acid that just burn through anything almost
Right.
instantly, and it happens uncontrollably every 22 seconds, and there's nothing I can do about it to turn it off or aim it. You know, if you're near me, you'll probably die.
And if you try to do anything to contain me, it will just get worse and worse.
Yeah, yeah, it will be the most prolonged, painful death imaginable. Please allow me to integrate to society.
Right.
Please.
We get to go to the school. We get to see some mutants
Yes.
recreating in the recreation room. Welcome to the
Yeah.
academy.
Yeah,
Uh,
until Xavier rolls in and starts talking about evolution again.
Colossus is there, which is exciting. I think it's funny to have like a background Colossus.
Yeah.
He's just in a couple of scenes, but I like seeing him. Bobby's trying to kiss Rogue. She's pulling away because Rogue, if you touch her, can melt your face off, take all your power, and kill you,
Mm.
basically.
I always disliked that because it's like it just seems like a step. Honestly, like I've been a teenager and I've been horny too. I'm not
Yeah,
afraid to admit it. But it's like, okay, right, my whole power, like the only thing that happens is if you
yeah,
touch my skin, you get very badly painfully like injured.
yeah. Yep.
And he's like, "No, I'll be fine. Let me fuck you. It'll be fine." And no, it
Right.
won't.
Yeah,
But
no,
listen,
it turns out she is actually correct. Yeah.
yeah, it's not going to be fine, you know. So what you're trying to do is insane because, as I have explained, there really is only one outcome for this. And he's like, no. Look, I've got a hard dick. I'm going to give it a go.
Right.
We'll see what happens. Like, no, please listen. Like, please, again, I'm only going to say this one more time.
I actually, for a teenage boy and possibly for any male, once he's got that hard dick, like that,
Mm,
it occurs to me now that that is the most realistic thing in the movie. And Wolverine comes back. He
mm.
returns from his pointless little trip to Alkali Lake. Rogue runs to him. They have a relationship from the first movie, and they have like just a nice little reunion moment. It's hard to say, except for the fact that she was in the first movie. It's hard to say what Rogue is actually offering here.
Yeah, she's badly underwritten. She has like nothing to do in this movie.
Yeah, she
It's
uses her
apart from
power once, which is, and she
yeah.
does it in a decent way. It's
Yes,
like
she does. Yeah.
she uses her powers in the first movie, I think 3 times
Hmm.
to destructive effect every time.
Yeah.
So she does actually get a moment where like it's a useful thing to do.
So that's one thing about this movie. Another thing about this movie I like is
Yeah.
that really everyone does get their moment to
Yes.
shine in it.
Yeah.
They don't forget anyone, which is nice.
Mhm.
Oh, except Cyclops, he doesn't really get to do anything. But
No,
yeah,
he gets some he gets a couple of good shots in.
right. I suppose. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, no, he also loses those fights. And then Storm comes down the stairs. And here's Halle Berry.
Mm.
There were some late rewrites to this movie to beef up Halle Berry's role because she won the Academy Award for Best Actress for Monsters Ball in 2001, and she won 3 months before filming began. So they did some sort of hurried rewrites to make sure that she has a bigger part in the film.
Yeah.
And I have a theory that that actually caused a problem at the end of the movie, but we're going to talk about that when we get there.
Yes, yes, we will.
Then Jean comes downstairs and we get some nice eye contact with Wolverine and Jean. This is yet another story thread, which will get a little bit of development here. And Hugh Jackman is just super cute when he's talking to her.
It's interesting because I remembered Wolverine as being really, really quite brusque and
Mm-hmm.
gruff, but he's kind of not. He's already just kind of like your uncle. Like he's just a
Yeah,
nice kind of dude. And when he's angry, he's angry. When he's violent, he's scary. But
yeah,
most of the time, he's just kind of like this slightly grumpy, affable fella, and
yes.
it's quite funny.
Eric's in a plastic box,
Yes,
sitting somewhere in the
isn't
world
he's like an action figure?
in limbo. Yes. He is in a plastic prison so that Magneto cannot use his magnetism on anything. This is where we see the weird shunt that's in the back of his neck,
Yeah,
in the back of Magneto's neck that Stryker has installed there so that he can use this like acid truth serum hypnotoad neck juice.
yeah.
And so I guess Stryker is in charge of this place. He's in charge of a lot of he's just in charge of whatever he feels like.
And you got Magneto like reading his book, which is called like How to Escape from a Plastic Prison or something. It's like really
Yes.
on the nose.
Wolverine wants more answers about his past. Xavier's not really helping him out. He promised that he was going to help Wolverine figure out
Yeah.
what happened and to cure his amnesia, but the mind isn't a box, it's a beehive. That's basically the only answer he has for Wolverine.
Wolverine, your mind is full of bees. Like what?
Yes.
So, well, what did you say? Sorry, Professor, what does that mean? That's drivel.
Yeah, it's a beehive.
Say again? Like, can you please elucidate? Can you please be more clear about this? Because it sounded like you just said my mind was a beehive.
What part of your mind is a beehive do you not understand, Wolverine?
Yeah, it's like Wolverine. This is a very basic concept that
Yes.
even a child will understand. For you see, evolution,
Yeah.
evolution,
Right.
Wolverine is like a beehive. Sorry, I'm kind of obsessed with this idea now.
No, I agree. I love it.
Just Charles Xavier saying nonsense and everyone just not understanding.
Yes. Just kind of like creating metaphors that he feels good about.
And everyone, but no one ever challenges him because he's like got
Oh
tenure.
yeah. No, he has a big deep voice.
Yeah,
Mystique gets into Stryker's office. This is an odd scene. Stryker's office is in some dark, empty place. Looks like kind of an open plan office. Not sure
there's some random ass office. Yeah, you'd think he would have a nicer
what's
office.
going. Yeah, you would think so. And I don't know if this is like his underground lair or what this is, but we see Senator Kelly turning, Mystique turning
Yeah,
into Lady Deathstrike, getting into Stryker's office and using Stryker's voice to hack into to his computer. Mystique is unbelievably competent in this
yes,
movie. She's amazing. She, I think, is my favorite character here because she can do anything
yeah.
with her transformations, and even when she's in her regular self, she can kick ass. She can do anything.
Yeah, she's the. I mean, when I said that you'd want the Iceman powers, no, you'd want the
The
Mystique
Mystique
powers.
powers, totally. Yeah.
That's the power you want, and you want to just turn into someone and just remain that person forever, basically. But the idea that you could just completely change your appearance at any time is very, very, very appealing.
Yeah, for me too. Yeah.
Especially when you're bald,
I guess
like
we've both
me.
gotten to that stage of our lives where that seems super appealing.
All I would do is keep everything exactly the same, except just not be bald. Just like get some hair,
Right.
bit more hair. That's all I ask for.
Mystique finds the Cerebro folder. I'm just going back to this plot point. I don't even know
Yeah,
why.
yeah.
Where she has to she just prints out a lot of paper.
Oh, this scene's hilarious where they don't tense the tension in like her using a printer.
This printer is it's all.
Again, this is very. I mean, this is extremely funny. Like even at the time, I think this is quite bad.
Yeah.
I don't dislike this scene. It's just there is something kind of unbelievably silly about it.
Well, a thing that I don't understand is Lady Deathstrike comes in,
Yeah.
and this is her office apparently, and Mystique
Yeah,
has to go and hide.
She also works with William Stryker in the office. Yeah.
Yeah. So does she type on computers with her big,
I mean,
crazy
yeah,
claw
she must be
fingers?
amazing at touch typing with those
Yeah.
fingers. She's probably got a specially made keyboard or something.
She's here because she's got to get some stuff out of her desk drawer, including the plastic gun that she uses later on. So why she has a cubicle in an open plan office, I do not know. So yeah, so then the capper is that Mystique turns into the janitor and manages to escape with the papers. And then down the hall, the janitor sees himself walk out. So
Yeah.
apparently it is okay to give the janitor existential headaches. We got to go meet Nightcrawler.
Yes.
He is in this abandoned church, which I don't know if that's a thing that exists.
Abandoned churches.
This gorgeous stained glass windows, but it's just full of pigeons.
Yeah, yeah.
It's possible this is a church that serves the pigeon community. Nightcrawler's teleporting around, talking to them in German. He's freaked out and is doing the most, rather than hiding, he's doing the noisiest thing he knows how to do.
Mm.
And Storm, in order to get him to come down and talk to them, shoots the little perch that he's on with a lightning bolt.
That's fucked up. Why don't you just like give him some money or something?
Yeah, no, they don't believe in persuasion. Yeah, they just are gonna pull out whatever their powers are. But he's such a cutie.
He is. He's a
He
sweetheart.
comes down and he's upside down. He's like, I didn't mean to harm anyone.
Oh, I am just a little baby.
And he is, and that's what he plays through the whole movie. He's so cute.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
is and it's so great that they managed to make him that way because he is a terrifying devil monster.
Well, Nightcrawler is the favorite mutant of everyone with any taste. Basically,
Yeah.
that's my opinion. Everyone loves Nightcrawler, and they're right to love Nightcrawler.
Tell me why.
Because he's a blue dude, right? That's all you need
Yep.
to know.
Yeah.
He's a blue guy who like can teleport, and he's like also a swashbuckler, and he's horny as shit. Like, of course, he's everyone's favorite mutant,
Yes.
right? I mean, of course he is.
Do you think that carries through in the movie?
No, not really. I
He's
like
cute,
him
but in a different way.
I do like him in the movie, but I
Yeah.
don't think that they quite nail.
He doesn't. If what you're talking about is like an attitude that the
Yeah.
real Nightcrawler has.
Though I mean, like obviously, I mean, no, like
Yeah.
they've done a good job.
Yeah.
They have done a good job. It's just he's not quite like he is in the comics to me.
He's got these tattoos on, and Storm is once they've got him down on the ground and they're actually talking to him. They ask him about the tattoos, and he says that he did it himself. So that's another mutant skill that they don't really acknowledge is
being
that
able
he
to
can
tattoo yourself.
tattoo your own face.
Yeah,
That's not
wild.
easy. Yeah.
No, it's not. I tried and I'm horribly disfigured for life.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, you should have asked me. I would have told you.
No, it's okay. I had to find out the hard way, you know.
Right. That's just yet another example of why you need those mystique powers.
Well, I wanted to get like a cool like
Yeah.
heart like on my face, you know. And I started getting the heart and I got it wrong, so I had to cross it out. So I had to tattoo a big cross over it. Well, I tattooed the big cross over it, and like that wasn't working either. So I tried it again, and I had to tattoo another cross, sort of a different direction. Long story short, I've got a massive swastika on my face now. My life is ruined. It's bad. Like it's awful. It's ruined my life. People are really mean to me now.
You're just gonna have to work remote.
And I have to explain to them, no, you don't understand. I'm not a Nazi. I did this accidentally to my own face. And nobody listens. They're like, no, Stu, I don't believe you. It's absurd to suggest that you accidentally tattooed a swastika on your own face. And I say, I was as surprised as you are.
I am living proof that can happen because here I am.
I hate the Nazis. I would never knowingly tattoo a swastika on my face. I'm disgusted that you suggest otherwise.
Did you consider tattooing the explanation as well?
Yeah, I did. I did
On the other
tattoo the
cheek?
explanation.
Oh,
I did.
yeah.
But it's so long
Right.
that, and it's so small letters that nobody can be bothered to read it. They see it and they just immediately judge me.
People can be so cruel.
And you know what? I'm tired of it. I'm sick and tired of it. And I'm asking you here now, listeners, please don't judge me for my
Yeah.
accidental swastika. It's not my fault.
I I believe that this is the perfect movie to make that case for you.
Yeah, exactly. What if your mutant power was that you constantly say racial slurs despite not being racist? That would be awful, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be terrible. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's potentially a lot of pain in the mutant community.
Yeah, exactly. And they give you a name like Racisty or something, and
Right.
that would be
You
your
have to
name
live with
forever.
that now. Yeah.
Yeah, but that would be like the most situational specific power when they're like, okay, we got to like, there's a bomb in like this plane, and we've got to save the plane from this
Yeah.
explosion. And the Racisty is like, um, is there anything I can do to help? Bleep bleep, like bleep bleep
Yeah.
bleep bleep. Like, no, Racisty, you
Yeah,
just
no,
stay in
it's
your
fine. Yeah, it's fine.
you just
We
stay in
got
there
this
and
one.
try not to talk to anyone.
Yeah. It would be hard to involve him much.
It would.
I would say he would probably stay home a lot.
That said, he still get his own miniseries in like 2000, like Racisty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd read it, but I'd be like, well, I'm not sure where this is going.
The spin-off issue from Avengers versus X-Men
Yes,
is very uncomfortable.
yes, it is very racist. Yeah, when he fights the Black Panther, it's not cool.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's like, oh boy, this was very ill-advised.
Nightcrawler has a shunt in the back of his neck, which he
Yeah,
shows off for basically no reason. He just kind of like rolls over and just gives him a look. And that is all of the explanation for why he was shooting up the White House that we are going to get. And we just have to live with that. The home invasion. So starting out, Wolverine is just walking around. He finds a kid with remote control eyes, who I think
ridiculous. Yeah,
also goes unexplored. I would love to know more about that kid, what his life is like. And Wolverine finds Bobby eating ice cream, and here's where we get him using his powers for good, freezing Wolverine's soda.
probably my favorite scene in the movie, and I'm not joking. There's
Yeah,
something just so nice and cozy about that. It makes me really happy.
and it's cute. Like there was a
Yeah, it's
bit of
cute as
like
hell.
awkwardness before, where Wolverine feels very protective of Rogue, and now knowing that she has a boyfriend. But this is the thing. It's like with Cyclops in the first movie, like a thing that Wolverine does is create these like bro bonds with
Yeah.
people, and it just makes him like super appealing, I think.
I think it's quite funny that their conversation is essentially like, you smashing that, buddy? Is like, I wish.
Yeah.
I can't smash that. It
Yep.
sucks.
While this is happening, Professor Xavier is going to Eric's plastic box. He and Cyclops have gone there so they can have a talk. So Cyclops stays behind. Lorio brings Xavier into the plastic cell on a plastic wheelchair, which I don't know. I don't know where that. It feels like a custom item you probably have to bring with you rather than something that they have on site. Xavier wants to talk to Eric about the assassination attempt. This is when we get that little backstory,
Yeah.
which is not entirely explained about. Eric tells him, like, I've had visits from William Stryker, and he knows that Xavier was working with Stryker's son Jason once,
Yeah.
and Xavier wasn't able to help him. This totally cryptic line here, which I don't get from Magneto, where Xavier says like he wasn't able to help Jason, and Magneto says, and now you think that taking in the Wolverine will make up for your failure with Stryker's son.
Ridiculous. Yeah, very odd line. Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible that it's Beehive related.
Well, it has no like relevance. It's just a very strange way of tying the emotional stakes to it.
Right.
But they don't actually do anything with it. So
Yeah.
it's almost like another subplot that they forgot about, or just a unusual line that was kept in from a late rewrite or something. It's very odd. I
Yeah.
mean, Jason and Wolverine have literally nothing at
Yes.
all in common with one another.
Except that Stryker is involved with both of them.
Yeah, yeah, except for that, yeah.
Yeah.
But it is
No,
odd.
but yeah, but no, that but they don't like but Wolverine doesn't know Jason. That's not like they don't have a relationship. I don't think they're ever in the same room together.
No, I don't think so.
Eric is criticizing Xavier, saying like you haven't told Wolverine about his past. Xavier says he's still fragile, and Eric says,
Yeah.
"So are you worried about losing one of your precious X-Men, old friend?" Which is a fine line, but suddenly there's dramatic music, and Xavier says, "Eric, what have you done?"
Yeah, it's very
Which
strange.
I don't know where that comes from.
It is odd. Maybe the way I took it is just they know each other so well, but he can read
that
this
whatever he says.
alternate
Yeah.
whatever into it.
Yeah.
But it is a very unusual, like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
wait, what did he gather from that? Was he? This is you're making a grand assumption here, Charles.
Turns out he's correct.
Yeah,
They start flooding the cage with gas. So Xavier's getting knocked out, and then
yeah,
where Scott is waiting, like Yuriko comes in and she takes that plastic gun, she shoots at Scott, and they do some nice fight work. Where this is where he gets to like use his powers and actually looks pretty cool sometimes.
yeah.
There's a shot here that I just need to dive into where Yuriko jumps at Cyclops like she's an Austin Powers character.
Just yeah,
From like a standing start, she somehow gets both legs into the air, wrap around his neck, and then she kind of just hovers there for a second, looking at him.
yeah.
And then she
It
goes,
is odd.
yeah, and she like knocks him out with his legs. My challenge, Stuart, to you
Yeah,
or the audience is to go and look at that stunt and then explain to me what they were going for. And then this is followed by the home invasion, where just an endless number of troops start walking into the Xavier mansion. The kid with remote control eyes sees an intruder and says hi, and he gets shot in the neck. So these kids need better survival skills. And so Wolverine hears all this, he gets up. This starts to get pretty video game.
yes, it does. Yeah,
There's a guy in the kitchen that Wolverine is wrestling with who starts shooting off machine guns.
yeah.
And their plan was not to kill anybody. I don't know why people carry around machine guns in movies, like when they're supposed to be sneaking around.
In case they need to cover up the sound of something they're making, so they have to fire the machine guns off because it's so
Right.
loud that everyone just goes, "Hey, the machine gun is firing,"
Right.
and doesn't think about what else they could be doing. I think it makes perfect sense.
One thing that I wish that we could see here is just more of the kids using their mutant powers.
Yes, agreed. It's very yeah. I mean,
So
they
many.
don't. I
Yeah.
don't think they totally undercook it. I think they do a decent job of it.
Hmm.
But I agree that they should absolutely do that. Yes.
But what I would love is just because some of the kids kind of once we start getting them to run around, they become basically just like generic kids. And I would love to see like the version of Home Alone
Yeah.
where they are just using their crazy powers. We got these kids running around. Wolverine starts killing dudes. Colossus turns into metal. We get just a little bit of Colossus here,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Yeah. Not enough.
Not enough. This is the one shirtless scene that they put in for me, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do a ton except to just like gather up all of the generic kids and lead them out to someplace. I don't know where they go with enormous shirtless Colossus to take care of him. They never mention like Colossus is a very large and naked man, and so
Yes.
I guess they'll be fine, but they don't say like where all those people go and what happens to them. They just run away and now they're not part of the movie anymore. So here's where Stryker gets to confront Wolverine for the first time. There are going to be several of these scenes
Yes.
where Wolverine's trying to kill people, and Stryker basically just like introduces himself and starts giving Wolverine flashbacks. And so here's where we get the information that Stryker invented Wolverine, or at least like gave him the adamantium skeleton. And I have a question about Stryker, which is why did he do that?
Yeah.
How did that fit in? How would turning a mutant into a feral killing machine advance Stryker's goals in any way?
I guess because people will see the mutant and go, "Yikes! I'm a mutant."
So he's just trying to freak people out.
Yeah, I guess it seems that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Wolverine wants to get more of this information out of Stryker, but Bobby decides he's going to use his ice powers to create an ice wall, which I think is great. Like that's one of the, like you said, is like the mutants who are main characters in the film, they actually do get to use their powers sometimes. And I think
Hmm.
that is a very cool use of his power, that he can all of a sudden create this huge thick wall.
I think it's one of the more iconic scenes in the movie. Maybe not completely earned in a weird way, but I do like it. It's a very fun, a very kind of nice, weirdly sort of ethereal scene to have.
Yeah.
I think.
Wolverine runs out of the room. He's got three kids. He's got Rogue, he's got Iceman, and he's got Pyro. And now the four of them are going to run somewhere together. And now
Yeah.
Stryker basically just takes possession of the Xavier Academy. So Colonel Stryker is now in charge of a school, and he is about to find out how difficult it is to be the headmaster of a private sleepaway camp for super mutants. Just wait till he finds out how much they spend on cleaning supplies alone. It is a budgeting nightmare. So that means this is the end of Act 1 of X2 X-Men United. I will be releasing Act 2 later this week, and here's what's coming up. And you see his face. He thinks killing cops is fun. And I have to say, he makes a solid case for it.
Yeah, Ronnie's like, fuck this shit. Like, there's home invaders are freezing my drink. I mean, it's not iced tea season at all. Like, I can't be having this at all.
And then the fighter planes come in. Correctly. Finally. The rest of the world does something sensible.
What would have been funnier line, in my opinion, if he said, you know those dangerous mutants you see on the news? And then there was a really long pause. And then he said, the same thing that happens to everything else.
There aren't enough good roles for blue people in movies.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, there's the Smurfs. That's it.
All right, stay tuned for that. Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you for having me. It's been lots of fun.
I'll meet you right back here for Act 2 of X2 on the Superheroes Everyday podcast. Thanks for listening.
We're not here to hurt you. We just want to talk.
Gehen Sie raus!
Are you bored yet? Oh, yeah.